he has been playing tennis since as a child, and he said that he learned a lot of values from the sport. Welcome to Talk to Walk with Sachin Duggal.
My tennis racket.
Tennis racket? So you play tennis?
My tennis racket in my car.
In your car? You like cars?
Yeah, I love cars.
Yeah? You are that kind of people that like first time make some money, buy a good car.
No, actually, I waited till I bought mine, till much later. I invested a lot in the beginning. I bought the car later because I wanted a specific car, and I was waiting until it was the right time to get it.
So you put it back on the for the company.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I invested in other things. Like whatever we made in one, I never took the view that you make all your investments specifically in one piece. The minute you get some exit, you diversify.
Sure.
So we have investments. Like I have investments in real estate. I have investments in equities. I'm a Facebook stockholder, which is great right now.
Yeah, I know.
And so it's it's spread out. And
what about tennis? How did tennis came to your life?
My grandfather's dream was that one of the children would play at Wimbledon, one of the grandkids, and we never really took it seriously. So I was the one I think that took it the most seriously. And when I was 15, my coach, my tennis coach, told my mom that he's not going to make Wimbledon. So she took my racket away and said, "Go and study instead."
Wow.
And she's kind of very strict when it comes to academics. But then I figured that now that we've had one that's kind of gone through, one company we've exited, I can now play in the seniors. So I started, like 2 months ago, started playing every day again.
Really?
Yeah, so I play 2 hours a day, 3 or 4 hours on the weekends.
Wow. I have to, I have to play a game with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love playing tennis.
So how was you as a child?
I think I was, I think my childhood was one where I was always restless. And I was the only child. My mom was the oldest in the family. She had a sister and a brother. And what I remember from my childhood was I was always given the opportunity to do lots of experiences. I went to dance school. So I kind of learned professional dance when I was a kid. I went to stage school, learned how to act and sing. Played tennis, obviously.
Sure.
Learned how to swim. I was a really active swimmer. And I was in the Boy Scouts. I mean, there was nothing that I hadn't tried.
What were the most big values that the sports gave to you?
You know, in tennis, the one thing I learned in tennis, which was really important, and I remember it like crystal clear, I was 3 sets, 5 games, 2 points, 3 points, 3 match points down. So basically, 1 point more and I'm out of the tournament. And I just looked at myself and I said, it's now or never. And I won 3 straight sets. Went to tiebreak. Went to a 4th set. And so I went to 5 sets. And I won.
You won the game?
I won the game.
Wow.
And then I won the tournament. And
that
so that really showed me that it's never over until you say it's over.
That's a good lesson.
And the minute you say it's over, it's over.
Sure.
So I always, like, even with our team now, and some of them are quite young, it's their first company, I always say to them, look, it's not can we do this, it's how do we do this. If you're still stuck on can, you'll never get to the how.
Yeah.
You'll never get to how. And magically, even in the Niveo days, we would run out of money, and then we'd go looking for $100,000, and we'd raise $1 million. And so I think it's a lot of right time, right place, right context.
Sure.
But it was also a lot of we never gave up.
That's good.
And we exited when we said, right, that's it.
Yeah. Where were you born?
I was born in London.
London?
Yeah. So I was born in London, did my schooling there. I spent like 1.5 years in India. I used to get sent off to India every summer to spend time with my grandfather.
Wow.
From my mom's side. And then I did my undergrad at Imperial, and then I did an executive master's at MIT.
I know with 14 years old, you became an entrepreneur. How is that?
You know, the whole tech piece for me was a big mistake. So I never had an interest in technology. My only interest was stage school, dance school. and tennis. And obviously I love math, so I was just naturally had an inkling for it. I broke my mom's computer, and she said, "Fix it or else, or you're grounded. Everything stops until you fix this." And that's when I started reading, and I said, "Oh, okay, I better figure out how to get this thing to work." And it was like an old DOS machine, T86 and I spent 2 weeks, and I got it to work. In fact, I reprogrammed the machine to have better menus, a little bit of color, because the monitor could support like 3 colors or 4 colors at that point. And I was just so excited. I was like, right, that's when I was 13. And before that, I was always very kind of into presenting, and like I used to work with the UN. I helped write the Declaration of Human Rights, so the children's rights part, the Companion for Youth Rights. I remember going to the first International Children's Conference that the UN held. So I wasn't really into tech, I was much more into other things, the environment, children's rights, the arts and liberals. But then like when I got this thing to work, it was like real excitement, and it was like, I can do this on my own. So next year when I was 14, I said to my mom, I want to buy a PC. She said, no, I'm not buying you one, you already destroyed the last one. You almost destroyed the last one. And I said, look, I'll buy it, I build it. I'll get all the parts, I'll build it. It'll be a lot cheaper than buying. And kind of after much persuasion, she took me to a store, I bought all the parts, and I couldn't get the thing to work.
Wow.
So I spent the next 3 days, 4 days, like wondering how, why, reading, and eventually I got it to work. And so I built this computer for £300. In the market, the same machine was $1,200. So I saw an immediate arbitrage.
Why don't I sell it?
Why didn't I sell it? So so I spoke to one of my best friend in school, and he's still one of my closest friends, and I said to him, look, we should do this. And he said, it's a great idea. So we went to my design teacher, and he had 2 broken laptops. He says, okay, I'll give you starting this company, fix these laptops for me. We had no idea how to fix them. So all we did, I remember this so clearly, we rang up the manufacturer.
You have like pictures from them?
We have, I think we might have a couple, but so there's these 2 laptops. We rang up the manufacturer and said they're not working. You need to fix them. And so we just shipped it to the manufacturer. He repaired them, sent them back to us. We gave it to the design teacher, who was ecstatic that we got these machines working. And he became our first customer. That was the first. We were 14 years old. It was the first time we'd made £100.
Wow.
And that point,
so everything started with £100.
Everything started with £100. And that was a lot of.
There's a book, huh?
Chocolate.
Everything started with £100.
And it really started from that. And then the first year we sold 20 PCs. The second year we sold 100. The third year he didn't want to do it anymore, and I must have sold about 300 or 400 PCs. And then it became much harder because at that point Dell started coming out, pricing started dropping. You had to keep using parts from kind of China and Taiwan, and the casing wasn't as smooth, had lots of cut fingers. And so I kind of moved out of hardware and started looking at software and hosting.
Right.
And that took me to when I was...
Do you consider that as a fail somehow or not? Like just a learning process?
Look, I think when I was 14, I could buy my own chocolate. I could pay for my own tennis lessons, and I could go for my own movies, and I didn't have to ask anyone.
That's perfect.
When I was 16, I went on my own. We went on holiday, my friend and I, and we paid for it ourselves. So relatively, no, it was an absolute success.
Do you think fail is a learned part of it, or fail is fail?
No, look, I think I now take the view you should fail quickly, because it means by failing quickly, meaning you're learning the lesson quicker. However, I think at that stage, at 14, it's success as long as you're not getting in trouble.
Sure.
And it's success as long as you are more than the 10 pounds we first started with,
Sure.
right, which we jointly put in.
Sure.
And when we were 15, we were making £3,000 or £4,000 each a year.
Ooh.
At 15, that's crazy amounts of money.
Yeah, I know.
That's like £500 a month each. To do what? Like to buy chocolate.
Wow.
Or tennis lessons. I mean, if you can't spend it.
Incredible.
And it, for me, it was the really important grounding, because it taught you the basics of pitching, making out that you were a bigger company than you actually were.
Yeah, sure.
Getting people's confidence.
On that time, you thought already like, you know what, I'm going to be a big entrepreneur.
Well, my parents were in business, so in some respects I cheated because I, I heard all these terms ever since I was a kid. But they were in a very different type of business. They were very similar to our PC business, right? Because they were in a business where they bought X, they sold Y. My mom was a fashion designer, and so she used to produce garments. Her maximum risk exposure was 3 months, maybe 6 months. She would plan a season out, but really she would only produce when she had orders.
Sure.
And that's kind of like how we did the PC business. We would produce when someone placed an order. We pretend to have all of this, like whiz bang. We had a website, all of that great stuff. But so I think it taught me some of that basics, managing cash flow, P&L, how you do accounting, banks, how you run, like things that I would say most kids at our age, Mohammed was, I would say the same, but more for me, really didn't understand.
So you went to MIT, right?
I did my executive postgrad at MIT.
How did the school help you?
So I went to 2 colleges. I went to Imperial for my undergrad. I think at Imperial, I learned how to think. So I was always really strong at math, but Imperial, they like, I think the key takeaway was you learn how to think very efficiently, because there was no time wastage. When I was at college in my undergrad, I was also doing a full-time job. I was working at Deutsche Bank, and so because I was trying to pay for college, and I was running a business. The idea was something that happened on December 18th, 2004 at 3:30 in the morning. I rang up my best friend.
Having some beer.
No. I rang him up. Actually, we were both asleep. I woke up. I had this dream, and I woke up and I said, "Sorry, we're going to put PCs in a data center." He said, "Go back to sleep." And then I rang him up and I said, "No, sir, I'm telling you." It's like, why do people need these PCs? And I'd taken the last 6 months off from the bank to go think of new ideas, and it just made such common sense, simple problem. Yeah, that's right. Like, why would you keep a disk there? Why would you keep a computer there? It makes no sense. Imagine, that one computer, I could put 20 people onto it, and they're all using it at the same time. And now I'm using it 100% as opposed to 10%. That's how it started. And so it was a great idea, and we had no idea how we were going to build it, because at that point, also in 04, you had no cloud infrastructure. So if you were going to build something that was this intense, you had to build everything yourself.
So let's talk about this experience. So you had the idea, and then after the idea, how did you make this happen?
So maybe the preamble is important. So I was in college. I'd taken a year out in the middle. So I'd taken a year out before college to work at Deutsche Bank. I'd worked through college. I took a year out in the middle to go work full time. Halfway through that, I took a sabbatical, and I went to 2 of my bosses and I said, "Please give me $100,000. I want to go think of an idea." I said, and what I'm working on here is not going to launch anyway. So they gave me $100,000 and I think about it. Came back with 4 or 5 of them. But I said, this is the one I really think is going to be big, and they all agreed. So they wrote a check for another $150,000. But by this time, we were already given half the company away, which is the biggest mistake we ever made. And in hindsight, we had no option. We were buck-eyed 21-year-olds. That giving away half your company at the beginning of an angel round, not a good idea. And so then we continued to raise capital and develop the idea. Initially, we made the second mistake. We said, we know India, we're going to go build it in India. But we kind of realized that too late in the game that it's not the best place for building high-end tech. It's much better for mass production of things, but it's much harder to find talent there, because most of the talent, like really good engineers, don't want to work in India. They leave. They go work in the US. They go work for Microsoft, now for Google, Facebook. But we kept building, right? And we kept trying to do proof of concepts.
In India.
We built in India, and then we continued to raise capital. Then we tried kind of launches in different places, and we kept iterating the product, what people now call pivoting. However, what happened was we kept pivoting. We kept coming up with new ideas. And at a certain point in time, all of them became valid. And then we couldn't work out which one to prioritize, which one to go for. And then I think we started getting our act together around 2009 when we got the World Economic Forum Award as Technology Pioneer. And then kind of 2010, 2011, we started streamlining, like focusing on the things that are important. Right the way through till I exited in October last year. And we gave the company to the investor to run. I think we had a difference in opinion what we wanted to build, what he wanted to build. And kind of we felt that at this point, it was much better in the hands of management when we put a whole management team in place.
All right, so you teach us here two big mistakes that you've done, and I hope you didn't make the same mistakes in the
No, you know, it's interesting.
The company now.
So I went back in October to
The new
England.
company.
Yeah, so I went back in England. I went back to England in October, took 3 months off. I did 10 days of silence meditation, and very reflective, very important. Came
In
back
India?
no, actually I did it.
London?
It's an Indian technique, but I did it in London.
Oh.
3 hours out of London. But like some relevant kind of comparisons, you know, to do the first MVP at Nivea took us 2.5 years. We did it. We made 11 iterations of the product in Shoto in the first 3 months without writing code, because we learned the importance of custom development. To get the first engineering build at Nivea cost us close to $1.5 million. We've spent less than $100,000 US.
Very good. Just to know, how was the fundraising for the last company?
So the last
So you
one,
said about 100,000 and then 115?
then we did, then 150,
150,
then $500,000, then 1 million, then 5 million, then 4 million, then 21 million.
Right.
So the 21 was 15 million in actual company money, and then 6 million or 7 million went in secondaries. They bought out some of the existing shareholders.
Oh, okay, but then for the 21 million was the when you guys left the company?
September 2011 was when we raised the money.
Oh, September 2011.
And we left in October 2012.
Okay, but you still have stocks from the company or not?
Yeah, we're still a shareholder.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I think the minute you leave, especially when you've left with broken glass, the minute you leave, you have to write it off. You cannot have an attachment to it. It's forward and onwards.
People are running.
People are running. It's like that tennis game.
Don't go back.
Right? It's like that tennis game. We can still win the tournament, even if we lost 3 sets in the start.
Mm-hmm.
And to win the tournament is now about Shoto, and so our entire focus is that, and building it forward. And you know, we're doing it really efficiently.
And what's the program and the product nowadays?
So we're working. Let me give you the analogy. We're working on an app that allows you to share photos privately with the people that you took them with. So it knows that I'm with you, it knows we're friends, it knows we're at this venue, and it knows we're taking pictures. And the best analogy is kind of we're doing to sharing what Dropbox did to syncing. We're making it invisible, and we're making the process disappear. And the real reason we're doing this is that so much of our time is spent asking for photos from a holiday, sending pictures to people, and then actually trying to organize our own photos. So imagine you have an app that shows you your pictures, syndicates the pictures that your friends took, and the privacy is very easy. It's 3 things: me, the friends that were with me, or the world, and voila, like you get to see the complete picture of an occasion. And so we've been working on it for the last since January, so for the last 8 months. And the idea is no creation of albums, no inviting people. It does it all automatically.
Interesting. Why did you come to Silicon Valley?
So in 2011, when we moved here, we raised US money, so we had to come to build up the US ops. And you know, it was always the plan to be here. And this time around, when we did the startup, we weren't going to make the mistake we made last time, which was build it anywhere else. I think the engineering talent, access to capital, the way that the whole ecosystem here functions is so unique, and it's very easy to get going and move quickly. And everybody gets startups, right? They know how to deal with them. They know they don't have money. They know how to do the financing. They know how to gauge them.
How are you funding the company so far?
So we funded it. We obviously exited from India. So we had some cash in the exit. So we initially decided that the co-founders would fund the first part because we weren't going to take external money until we had proof of concept, clear idea what we were building, and then we went out to raise $250,000. We were oversubscribed, so then we've increased the amount to $500,000. And yeah, we're working on it. So the money initially is ours, and then we're making good progress on our external round as well.
Are you monetizing already?
We haven't shipped yet. We ship product in 2 weeks.
Oh,
so it's early
Talk to Work is like coming up with this new thing.
Yeah. So it's the first preview release went out last week, and it's been extremely encouraging.
Very good, very good. When you think about innovation, you think this new business is more innovate in business model, product, or process?
I think it's both, right? I think we're getting rid of an entire process. If you think about photo sharing, it's almost like a bad word because it involves steps. It becomes complex. Most people don't understand it. They make mistakes. We're removing that process. At the same time, the business model is about not charging the end consumer for the basic service. It's about working out other ways to charge the consumer or monetize either data or monetize something that they want to do, which is premium. So it could be physical translation of the image to a teacup, to a t-shirt, to an album. And so I think in both cases, it's very disruptive. But I come from the school of thought, and I really wanted our next business to solve a real problem that consumers are facing on an ongoing day-to-day basis. Expand their mind on that, and then work out how you monetize and create a way for the business to be revenue generating and profitable around that. And I think that makes a big difference.
All right. What about people? Who's your team?
So we are about 7 people now. We're still hiring. We'll probably stop hiring at about 10. So we've got another three positions. Hiring really smart engineers in Silicon Valley is probably now as hard, if not harder, than anywhere else, just because it's so in demand. And you know, the key in the hiring process is a cultural fit. So even if the guy is really smart, really bright, has great credentials, but one of us doesn't feel the cultural fit, then we won't hire, because that can destroy the whole team.
Who's hiring?
So
you're using some extra company, like outside company, or
no? We get a lot of our hiring. So we have recruiters, obviously, we're talking to, but AngelList has been great for recruitment of engineers. In fact, one of our co-founders we found on AngelList, who started off as the lead engineer, then became a co-founder. So AngelList has been really, really good. We've so far had the most success with that, because it also means that we can do the pre-vetting before we have the interview. And then we have a really long, I wouldn't say long, but like lengthy interview process. 3 people, we ask three different types of interviews, and we get a sense also for whether they'll fit with all of us.
What kind of engagement are you looking for to see after shipping?
So this is
And
a
how
really,
many people?
really important question. I think we're at that stage of getting to product market fit, and it's so important for me. I'm not interested in how many downloads and how many users. At this moment, I'm really interested in how often they use the app, how many minutes they're spending in it, how many albums are getting created, how many pictures are getting syndicated and shared, and that tells me a lot about how they're using the system. And once I'm comfortable that we have product market fit, then it's just about opening the funnel. And you know, we spent 9 years building a business that was really B2B, and so we built a lot of relationships from OEMs of handsets through to carriers, through to people that we worked or studied with. So getting it to the high millions then is much easier. The problem is, I think, and a lot of people do this, is everybody tries to build a funnel, but then you lose that customer. Once you've lost him, it's much harder to reacquire him.
Sure.
I rather get the engagement right and then start acquiring the customers.
Very good. And how are you going to monetize them?
So there's a number of things we're working on that look at physical translation of picture, that look at the data that we're collecting, and look at, you know, what could be a good set of premium features and premium service. But as we haven't shipped it yet, I'm told to be very quiet about it.
All right. We're just trying to have like some close conversation here.
So yeah, I think I'm really bullish on this. We have a number of other businesses that make money already and they're profitable.
Sure.
And there's a reason I'm still sitting here working full time on this.
And how long is it going to take to go for the first round?
I think we will probably do a proper Series A towards the end of the year or beginning of next year, at the very latest. Um, if product market fit happens quickly, which I think it will, and we get really good traction, then the real reason for the delay would just be valuation.
And how much you're thinking about for the first round?
Not sure yet. I think every indication says that it'll be in the high tens of millions that we'll raise, and the valuation would obviously be considerably higher for that.
Okay. Leadership. Do you believe in innovation without a leader that is innovative?
Look, I think you get two types of leaders. I think you get people that are process and efficiency, and they're about growing a business. And then I think you get people that are in an obscured state of reality, right? And they're dreamers. And I think an organization needs both efficiency and dreamers. But I so you need a balance of both. I think the founder CEO in an early stage business needs to be a dreamer. But a dreamer that can articulate a dream. And a dreamer that can motivate people around him to articulate a dream. So to be a dreamer, you've got to be an innovator, right? You've got to be pushing the needle, especially in the early stage. Professional CEOs are slightly different. They're a different beast. They're for a different purpose. They have product teams and product managers, and they're meant to be the dreamers, visionaries and architects. And in some cases, they are that. But I think in early stage tech companies, if you're not innovating, you're getting out innovated. So it's you or them.
How do you complement yourself with your partners?
Look, I think every founding team needs a hacker, a hustler, and someone that's obsessed with the customer. And it's kind of making sure the machine is always running. And we are full co-founders. My best friend and I we're co-founders in life, right? So we do everything together. And the compliment there is that he's the trusted outside person looking in, who I can ring 5 times a day, 50 times a day, and there's such a level of trust that I can tell him the deepest fear, the deepest problem, and we can pragmatically solve it. And then you have the operational co-founding team, there's 3 of us. And I think one is running engineering, one is looking after customer service and customer development, and I'm looking at product, marketing, brand, and vision. And so it's a natural complement. What I do is almost write down and predict what I think is going to happen. Brian, who runs engineering, his job is to execute what we're building. And Nick's role is just to make sure that whatever we're building at a certain point in time, you first ideate, and then you substantiate that ideation with data. And so Nick's job is to go out to customers. In the beginning, we were all doing it. We were on the street, we were quizzing people, we were asking surveys, and we were testing, these assumptions that we have, are they right or are they wrong? And all we were doing is we had this idea, we had this belief, and we were just getting data to support some of it. And that's how you complement, right? I think if you're all engineers, and you're working all as good as everyone on everything, there's a fundamental problem.
HandsOn.TV basically wants to help entrepreneurs all over the world to kind of behavior and to kind of have the mindset and the spirit of collaboration that people has here in Silicon Valley. And you have this good experience about building a company in India and about living in London. And how do you think the world could be closer to the energy and atmosphere from Silicon Valley?
So look, I think it's already becoming closer. I think if you look at the tech spots around the world, Berlin, London, Paris, Tel Aviv, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, Tokyo,
Sao Paulo,
even Rio to some extent, you're seeing more and more tech hubs opening up. I think what you're also seeing is companies, guys like 37 Signals are not in one place, they're distributed. They're using the best talent wherever. They're running 24-hour development. In our own case, even in Shoto, we run a core team in San Francisco, and then we have support teams in Delhi. So they do stuff whilst we're sleeping. We'll do a core build here, and then we'll do secondary builds in India. And that makes a big difference in our ability to be efficient and to roll things out quickly.
Okay, I'm going for, unfortunately, for the end of this conversation. And I want you to give a big advice for the entrepreneur that are watching us right now.
Look, I think my tennis game analogy is the best one. And why? I'll give you two, right? One is you didn't learn how to swim in a bathtub. You learned to swim by jumping into a pool. And the other one is that tennis match. You never give up until the match is over. Because you know at the last point, in the last rally, even if you're still losing and running, and you make that effort and you get that point across, ultimately it's your belief that you can make it. That's the most important thing.
Very good. Quick questions, quick answers.
Sure.
United States,
Great place.
India,
Home.
London.
Spiritual home.
Oh, I like that. Spiritual hunts like. Entrepreneurship,
The new chic.
innovation,
Faded.
fail,
The way to learn.
partners,
Needs trust.
sports,
Very important for entrepreneurs.
tennis.
Great game.
All right. I want to play tennis with you.
Done,
Actually, you know?
done.
We're gonna show it here in hands-on.
Yeah.
TV. So to finish, what's hands-on for you?
Hands-on for me is about being with the team and delivering with the company, and not being isolated.
Sachin,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for
Pleasure.
coming.
No, awesome. Thank you. That
Thank
was
you.
awesome.
This is Sachin. I'll see you next round.